GenG able to strike back with their new LCK debut. Debuter?
Debutant.
Are you serious? Debutant?
That's one of the things you call it, yeah.
There you go. Rich, our new debutant here in the LCK in the mid lane. Got ganked a bunch, got bullied a bunch, but really stuck through, so I was proud of him. I hope he's staying in. I would expect him to. I don't think he played all that poorly outside of the first couple of games.
I'd say his mentality shone through and that he was able, like you say, to stay stable. Yeah. Can't really speak about too much else of his play. Didn't kind of blow our minds or anything. And Aatrox's kind of pretty binary. Once the game goes on, some nice capitalization, but no reason to sub him out. That's kind of what we're getting to there. We'll see if he will actually take an Aatrox ban or whether they'll be happy to roll it back, because they got some nice leads through what they could do in the laning phase with the Renekton, but they couldn't really grow that into other areas to target down the rookie debutant.
Absolutely. So we'll be coming back in, and this time he'll be on the blue side with his team GenG, who so far in this series, actually, the red side is winning all the games. So very different from our first series of the night where blue side was winning all of them. CuVee picking up that MVP on his Vladimir. I think they showed a lot of the team fights that happened, but they didn't show a lot of his dominance in the bottom lane as well up against Doran. That kind of was that extra bit of oomph to push us over the line to give us the MVP. But either way, we are going to be jumping into the final game of the night, Game 6, GenG up against Griffin.
10:30 p.m. Korean Standard Time, we roll into game number 6. And what has changed? Well, the mid lane has changed since game number 1. GenG back on the blue side. Feels like, if you look over his solo queue, nice thing about Rich for some of the drafts that are coming up is he does play those champions that have synergy with Sejuani. He does play the Irelia, he does play the Aatrox, he does play the Akali, so he does play the champions that allow him to play a mid lane focus. So I'd actually like a Sejuani ban to come through from Griffin. It was like, Peanut will keep rolling it back. We already had our moment to laugh, but also talked about how in game number 1, his low damage was nowhere near the reason that GenG weren't able to pick up a victory in that game. There just was no skirmishes for him to build up the statistic. Game number 2, I thought, was a great performance from Peanut. So the Aatrox ban will be drawn out. That is one thing to talk about.
I mean, it's really putting pressure onto Rich, but it's also leaving Ezreal open, which I just don't think I can agree with that. But it's an executive decision from the side of Griffin, so they're going to have something that deals specifically with the Ezreals. That was a very obvious follow-up first pick.
I think Sejuani Kai'Sa could definitely be coming out from the side of Griffin. I think they're happy enough to roll into the Kai'Sa 3rd game in a row, but there's also Xayah Rakan possibilities. For the side of Griffin, the Yuumi ban does mean the Lucian is much less likely to come out. Ruler's played a lot of the Ezreal, but doesn't jump off the page like some of the other picks. Actually, his career most played, which is a little bit of a surprise, but I guess it's been evergreen in a lot of metas. 41-32, 56% win rate. And Peanut does lose one of his tools, but he's going to jump onto another in the Sejuani.
And the Kai'Sa left available. It's going to be 3 games of Kai'Sa now for Viper tonight. Doesn't feel like much of a surprise after what we've seen from this draft as well. And Tom Kench, Sir Thomas Kench, excuse me, is going to be picked up here for life.
But how do we judge GenG Ezreal Tom? Because when Kingzone play it, we talk about how depth is always arcane shifting for damage and playing super aggressive. No guarantees that Ruler and Life will be able to recreate that. We're waiting to see the support pick on the side of Griffin. Cannon Ban going to be coming out. Very, very common pick that comes through from CuVee. You wonder about where the top lane matchup will go. He's seen a lot of Nico and Cannon so far this series.
No Gragas here, which is kind of interesting considering that we already do have a Sejuani for the jungle. We also have a Sylas for a solo lane. Maybe the Lehends Gragas support is being targeted here.
Yeah, that will be my take as well. Get a lot of burst in this matchup. Even at level 2, we've seen 2v2 kills by Deft and Tucson on Kai'Sa Gragas, so while it's non-standard, seems like it's something GenG don't want to deal with. GenG very clearly don't want to be going bot side, so anything to relieve pressure from Ezreal Tom seems to be the approach from them. It's definitely two CuVee big picks banned, and given how CuVee does roll sometimes, you wonder how far away Gnar is from the lock-in.
Yeah, and Volibear is another ban here, so they've had enough of the engaged supports for Lehends. Now there is Nautilus available, which is another common thing that goes with the Kai'Sa.
Where's the Ornn at, we wonder, as he was a multi-time Ornn support player in spring.
You can see he doesn't have this massive smile on his face
Sejuani support would be threatened here. First time FLICKR and Sandbox played, which is the series we had the second time around in our first series of the night. I know that's awkward to say, but we had it earlier. There was a Sejuani top lane, and it is sometimes played, so a lot of things being threatened here, but you would assume Sejuani support with the Olaf lock-in. Now, Olaf can lane very well against Vlad, funnily enough, so you do wonder if there could be some next levels going on,
yeah,
depending on what GenG draft. I'd love to see Swain. Somehow I'm doubtful. I think the Vladimir makes more sense here.
Yeah. Vladimir, as you mentioned.
So who's getting what?
To the CuVee.
You would think, right?
You would think. Throw Rich back onto an 80 kind of bruiser style mid laner that's not quite Aatrox, but can do something similar. It could be good into the Sylas, right? And a lot of things are up in the air.
Yeah.
For sure.
Who's support, for
especially
example?
on the side of Griffin as Nico's locked in.
All right, so Sejuani's support then is basically confirmed in that. It's got so many flexes on their side, but this is probably going to be the lineup. It's not 80 Cannon versus Vladimir. It's going to be 80 Nico versus Vladimir, most likely. And gotta say, Sylas versus mid lane Ignite Renekton doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but there is a pretty big jungle difference that I think Tarzan is going to have to take advantage of. Because if you just isolated mid lane, physical damage only outside the Dominus with the magic damage shield does mean that Chovy might be undone by a well-timed Ignite.
Looking forward to that mid lane again from Rich, this time on something that can get even more aggressive, so excited to see what does happen down there as the mind of CV Max was able to bring in a support Sejuani. So new fun stuff for Game 3 as all the minds and the gears are turning, trying to outplay their opponents here in Pick Man.
And GenG with a mid laner looking for kills is not really a GenG look for many, many years. So how do they interact now that this Renekton, empowered to play aggressively, honestly doesn't really function if you're not looking for kills, right? Renekton does not have the best scaling, as we have talked about for many a year. But the Olaf could just dominate the early game alone, such is the power running over a Skarner as Olaf. So the jungle difference in terms of ideologies here will be on full display.
Here we go, guys. Game number 3, the decider match between GenG and Griffin. Fans really trying themselves to outdo the other side. Gotta admire that, as once again, some level 1 shenanigans. This is becoming much more popular. Double scanner just coming on in and trying to dominate. You've got an Olaf. But that Olaf is face checking here. You gotta be careful. Has to flash the stun. Now trying to turn it around for your Peanut himself has to flash away. As Life takes a bunch of damage. CuVee not there for any of that, so you have to assess the damage. Flash on Olaf, Ignite down on Sejuani, heal down on Life, and flash on Peanut.
The damage is pretty significant because I'm very surprised to see CuVee run straight bot lane for a fight that he would be super late to as level 1 Vladimir. Like, you know, the disdain in my voice, I hope it was clear, but level 1 Vladimir doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
That means he didn't get a ward down. He's held on to his ward, which means they have to re-invade here, otherwise they have no area of control, and Peanut's in a lot of trouble.
Oh boy, no flash on him either. And we got the smite down, but again, it is an Olaf and you're dead. Level 1 and 1 kill, first blood will be going over to Viper. That's kind of a head scratcher there, as Viper will be very happy with his start to this game.
That was really, really poor from GenG. Because they didn't have advanced vision, they tried to re-invade, but they're leading with their jungler with no smite. There's no way to get him out there. I don't know what the best case scenario was in GenG's mind, but there was so many different ways they could play this. I think you have to go topside as the Skarner take blue, and then use the one ward you have on Raptors to try to just contest and eventually deal with being 3-buffed if you have to. But level 2 is hit on Lehends first.
They take a bunch of damage on the backside here, so not too fun. As you mentioned Lehends hits it, but the 280 carries, I suppose, a little bit late to the lane. Just the slow level 1 beginning. He's just getting to his jump right now. And already had a couple of camps stolen. So Skarner gets his level 6 delayed and is not going to be doing much in this game.
And Olaf is going to go top side, clear his red side jungle, so there will be no red buffs available. There's lane priority bot side, so the reason you do top side clear here is there's going to be no chance in order to pick up the enemy blue, so lap up the red. Get so much of a lead on this Olaf. Skarner level 6 is going to be ultra late, it feels like already, and he's also going to have a pretty good idea about respawn timings as well, Valdez, so this is going to be one of those Olafs who's a big deal.
We haven't had many of those.
No.
You guys who were paying attention, he has a 22.2% win rate in the LCK Summer. He was being played a ton in spring and in many other seasons and regions and stuff like that, but just in summer he really hasn't had much success, and this is the first one we're seeing in a bit.
Big pick in the LPL, very high win rate over there, but in Korea, kind of similar to previous jungle Camille metas. It's never gotten going and got outscaled. It's kind of the big story we've seen with those warrior Olafs. So with a start like this, very clear what the possibility is. The potential is to get in there and mess up fools, but he just farms it out. As has been too often the case in the LCK, the outscale will also be real.
There's that S word again. Always showing up here. Sure, a nice little trade here on a CuVee, but there's a reason we haven't been looking too much at the top lane. CuVee should take a small CS deficit up against the ranged Nico.
The nice thing about the drafts here from GenG is that it's never safe for Doran to build Wit's End in these matchups. You go Wit's End and suddenly Renekton Ezreal damage is going to frustrate you. Ezreal does a bit of magic damage, sure, but it's not double AP where you can just go Wit's End and then do a lot of domination when you finish Blade and Wits. So we've seen CuVee already turn around the Kennen matchup, and it's pretty similar here as we talked about that respawn timing, Valdez.
Yeah.
Tarzan's right there.
Look at Lehends, too. That's support Sejuani, by the way, that was almost near the back blasting plant. Just in case they wanted to go for the wraparound and shut down the level 3 Skarner in this game. And why not just take the Drake when the enemy jungler can do 0 in this game?
This has been really impressive from Griffin in how they've capitalized. I think it was very, very poor, so sadly, when I slant the blame game, it does feel like GenG's super optimistic decision to re-invade was the reason it started, but the capitalization part has been good from Griffin. They're also trying to stop there being free camps for Griffin to take, GenG to take in the Griffin jungle, so it's been a team counter-jungling performance here that's really shut down the Skarner.
Especially when it's Olaf's favorite snack, chicken. The Raptors, you go in there, you clear it in about 2 axes, and you're feeling mighty fine when you can do that. He's got as much farm as the solo laners, which is kind of uncommon in pro play, but it does happen when you are this far ahead and you can steal this many camps.
And it all started with Olaf face-checking a Tahm Kench and having to flash away, right? All went so wrong from there. First, CuVee didn't put down a ward, and then the red side jungle tried to run down as the Vladimir at level 1, and then big mistake in contesting without flash onto Skarner has snowballed this game really far when it comes to the jungle matchup. But just decide the game, Valdez. But it's time for that to be ruined.
Yeah, we do have a lot of time here, as Seeker's Arm Guard going to be the first item of choice for Chovy, who has been having, not trouble, I'd say. I mean, he's going CS for CS with the Renekton, so he's doing quite well. But Rich has been doing well to take aggressive trades and put that down as Lehends aggressively coming in here. Rich, kind of in no man's land, is going to be slowed down. It is Lehends at level 4, though.
Respawn of the red buff, and in they come for the invade. Throwing out all the blast plans, that's about the best they can do.
They're looking to engage now onto Life, who has to flash away. It's 4 on 3 as the push was down in the bottom side. Ruler was trying to clear that out. And another buff, another camp, just stolen away by Tarzan.
Viper 6, but the control ward will be scouted out. Coming to the mid lane.
Oh, nice interrupt there. Dominus has to be popped, plus the flash, just to get Rich to the safety. Good play by Chovy.
Really bullying GenG here, Griffin. This is nice to see. It's a pleasure to watch this level of extended counter jungling where everything they've done so far after they got the level 1 First Blood makes a lot of sense. The internal consistency of this jungle performance and the aggression that's required to actually make it work is a pleasure, and everyone's helping out to guarantee scuttles, spires, blue buffs. So much pressure is bot lane.
Wow, we're flashing for the freeze here on the Life. He's got great health still. I know it's less, but it still does it as Viper's taking a ton of damage. One more Q, looks like that was gonna land, and he's just gonna burst down the Lehends just like that. And Viper, he's got no flash. He is so dead. As he's gonna try to dodge here, and actually, Ruler's going for it. He goes in with the E. There's the Devour. Not exactly the best execution, but they're at least able to push Viper off of the turret.
TP down on Viper as well as the capitalization. That was all Lehends misjudging the all-in. And the exit plan's gone when you used everything offensively. Important moment for GenG, because literally every other moment had been Griffin favored until the 8-minute mark. They're going to invest some time into helping nurse his jungler back to health, and now that the ult is up, maybe there's a lane he could potentially target.
Yeah, we finally got there, level 6. As we just take another look at
Q down on cooldown. We know it's a pretty long cooldown. And then the flash in to kill a Tahm Kench is very, very bold, but Aftershock is down. All threat from Lehends is down. Viper took 3 damage at the start of this. This was just a misjudgment of the 2v2. It was unnecessary all in. No junglers were ever going to come to back it up. Griffin just, at the end of the day, made a big unforced error.
Yeah, absolutely. He thought maybe, you know, with Aftershock and all that stuff, maybe they could get enough damage, but Viper got slowed by the Hokatung.
What does Sejuani contribute to a 2v2 if her Q and flash are down? Like, there's nothing. She has nothing to contribute. So she, unfortunately, it was an all-in where they didn't get a kill, and then they're just too far down lane and die. So it seemed like a just misunderstanding the situation by Lehends.
Had some of those mistakes in recent times here in this series, as now Roller's running away with the bottom lane just a bit with the 1 kill. Just getting all his items. Don't get to look too often up to the top lane, but it is the Executioner's calling early here from Doran just to deal with this Vladimir sustain.
Best of luck with that one. Turns out he has a lot of it, but it is very much targeting the lane like you mentioned, Valdez.
Yeah, he's got life steal of his own, so it's just, I take away your sustain and I gain sustain. And let's go from there.
First Mountain Drake was taken very, very early as part of the cavalcade of objectives, and is still better part of 7 jungle camps advantage for Tarzan so far. Let's make it 8. Continues to build up a pretty big lead here in the jungle. There is certainly champions who have their power spikes, right? Renekton's earlier game, Olaf's earlier game, so one on both sides does favor a certain part of the game. Definitely don't feel this is one-sided in terms of what the scaling game looks like. Only Vladimir sticks out as an ultra-scaling champion across the two. We know that Doran will be largely building into Critical Strike and focusing on the side lane build.
Hopefully he can do a bit better on the Nico compared to the Kennen that was essentially just put down from very early on after the laning phase ended in game number 2 and wasn't much of a factor in the entire game.
Happiest moment for GenG would be if they got a Baron, because Silas, Olaf just provides nothing against Baron buff. They just both get poked under siege, and Ezreal needs no introduction. It's kind of one of the real areas where Griffin's comp will come apart at the seams, because they actually have very little engage. You know, Olaf in the early game, yes, he can do things, but outside of that, on-hit Nico and I guess Sejuani's support ult is pretty much all they have for engage. The GenG side, they're largely about the flanks too, so it's not a true engage team on either side.
Yeah.
But Skarner will do Skarner things as much as possible.
Life with the Tom Kent skill shots is just sniping with the tongue under turret, making it real difficult for Viper, and they're trying to push that edge as much as possible. You can see the CS is basically the same, but a couple of extra plates already for the Ezreal Tom Kent's lane, as Peanut still looking for that person tail.
Been able to close the level gap, only behind probably about a level and a half, you would assume, but at least one full level, which is quite a few camps at level 8. Predator popped. Don't really know how this could turn into anything. I think he's just trying to get some breathing room to farm, as Tarzan is looking for the kill.
I wonder if he hit that plant to potentially slow down the Skarner if he took that route. Would have been a cute little play. Either way, just kind of looked like he autoed it for no reason. Trying to make sense of the situation as mid lane, not too much action actually at the end of the day, just kind of trading back and forth. Griffin with their jungle lead is just going to take this Rift Herald. Doesn't look like GenG wants to attack that at all.
Well, they're going Triforce this game. Don't see too much of the Triforce Ezreal, but it does mean that mid-game power spike for the Ezreal is going to be really, really big. Herald jam top side.
Rich here, thinking about a trade at the end of the day. Could have double dominance as Chovy pops his, and then Rich kind of pops his at the end, just to survive, it seems, as perhaps this time around Peanut could find something, as really just supporting more plates in the bottom lane is the initial goal.
First turret race was a very feisty one, but no turret will go down pre-14 minutes. Tarzan, already saw him channel that Rift Herald, does take the blue buff as well, so he's not stopping. Comes to the counter jungle. Sticks his lead, which we already talked about, is extending further and further. It's 27, which is the better part of 7 camps lead over the enemy.
Ooh, nice dodge with it. I feel like maybe focus a little bit more on the CS as, well, 4 plates for 4. Top and bot, just trading there to both sides.
I believe there was shared gold on both sides, so I think Tarzan got at least some of the charge gold on the Rift Herald, so it's not like anyone solo picked up all of that gold. Storm Razor done for Viper, so don't go for the White and Power Spike rather than the Man Immune that we do see pretty frequently.
Peanut really trying to make a move towards the top side. It's like, okay, he's going to find an Olaf. That's not who you want to find if you are a Skarner down a level. Tarzan getting in there, though, Rich. Not really considering it, though, as Chovy was just about to get back to lane, and losing that pressure means losing the turret, and Doran going to be able to pick that first one up.
Instantly made to look like a fall, bouncing over the wall there. He knew there was likely to be a control ward, but with Predator you can be fast enough that maybe you get a kill on the Nico, but worst case scenario, Olaf is there and makes him look silly. Base check coming in here, but sweep is smartly used.
Wait, though. See, he's going to get frozen down here, just chewed through that one. But Peanut, this time around, he's in the good position. And he's going to pick up that first kill. This bottom lane for Griffin really struggling here as another kill going to go the way of Ruler.
From top to bot, Peanut goes all the way to the bottom side and does find a good moment after being caught with his pants down a little bit by Olaf on the top side. Important moment there. Still not going to be a lot of kills this game. 3 in 15 minutes. But another one to this Ezreal, who's getting ready to flex on the high damage Ezreal build as well.
It's exactly what you want if you want to build that very expensive Trinity Force, as it's more trading here in the mid lane. And it does look like Chovy is winning that slightly in terms of just the way the trades are going in the CS and stuff. It's going to mean that Rich is going to back everybody on the side of GenG back. So another Drake. The Cloud Drake this time goes the way of Griffin. But still a very close game in this one. The Drakes have gone Griffin's way, but you got Ruler with his Trinity Force and his Manamune coming on in. That is a scary Ezreal when we get to this mid lane.
Miramana transformation only a couple of minutes away, you would expect. Drake's not super high value, Valdez, we should mention. No Infernals will spawn this game after being the dominant Drake so far today. And this is nice zoning. Tarzan using his 2-level lead. Trying to get this turret.
Oh, trying to take it up here up against Rich, but the Dominus comes in. Do they have the damage? He's staying alive for so long, and the Flash Devour gets him to safety, but Chovy still has the damage, and Rich went in a little bit too quickly there, as Lehends was able to tank up so much of that damage, and a successful dive might not be over just yet. Peanut and Life, they don't have that much DPS. The turret goes down, and it should be 2 more kills, and that it will be 4 in total. As, well, CuVee was able to get 1 on the top side, but that's 4 for 1. Still Griffin with a big win.
All 5 members of Griffin under turrets. That one was all baited by Rich out of position, and that moment the Flash Devour from Life went onto the Renekton. Guess what? Easy change of target onto Ruler. He goes down, and 1 by 1 they fall, all baited by Rich, feeling he was strong enough to stay under turret.
He's, you know, a big Kronk, and he has that Tompkins eventually coming, so.
He thinks he's strong enough to walk up here, but he doesn't have the vision to make this play. And the moment that his E is on cooldown, the turret's not going to save you. That's the reality here. Flash, Devour, and guess what? Easy movement on. Chovy steals away the Skarner ultimate, and the suppression means that even with all his items, Ruler's first to die. It's a 4 for 0 and the turret bot lane. And only thing that GenG can say is that through all of this, I would assume a botched turret dive is how Vladimir turned the style onto Dolan.
I guess we're not really going to get a look at that turret dive. Okay, here it is. They got Live in as well. I think CuVee goes for a back here, and then Doran's like, let's see what I can see in here.
Turret dive freely because of the image tanking up, but the minion wave actually does a lot of help there. That was thoroughly unnecessary, but may not be too important in the scheme of the game.
Yeah, it's just 1 kill. It does mean that CuVee gets a bit of his items a bit quicker here, no doubt, but at the end of the day, CuVee might not be the thing that turns this game to the tides of GenG. 4 kills in a turret, that's definitely something that can get you very far ahead, as well as all of those summoners that they had to burn underneath. We still got Lehends, Viper, Tarzan, even Doran's got his flash still available. So Griffin in total control of this game for the next 3-4 minutes. Should be pretty happy about the play they were able to pull off.
CuVee just cycles out his ultimate for some reason there. I guess he thought there was going to be an all-in that never came. Ruler's mid lane, as you want to be with an Ezreal at this item timing. Miramana just transformed as we speak. Getting the sort of wards they need in order to get pot shots on the turret and make the game about the siege. Already talked about the Baron potential of sieging Trinity Force Ezreal. Without the Baron and with Tarzan still so strong, getting the latitude to walk up to mid lane out of turret, it's going to be a multi-part plan.
So, we're down here all alone. He's got actually a Skarner nearby. Thinking, hey, maybe we can capitalize on a bit of the over-aggression from the side of Doran while we're kind of in this lull state where, you know, Ezreal Tompkins sits mid, they're never going to die, they have a Skarner nearby, so you can't really pressure them. And, you know, you're just going to be looking for other objectives, small vision leads around objectives, and with an Ocean Drake coming up again, it's not the biggest deal when it comes to these Drakes.
Important to remember how this game state came about. The level 1 we've covered a couple of times, but let's remember in the draft it was Sejuani early round, answered by Skarner, because the Sejuani is a takeaway from Peanut's champion twice already in this series, and then the creative flex to give Olaf the potential to set up, and then the level 1 misfire to put Skarner even further into the hole. So it was a multi-part plan to get here. Rather than something simple, it wasn't Skarner being drafted into Olaf or anything like that. The end result has been not much ability to get any value out of Peanut. Well, hits level 12. He's still very powerful, we can't forget.
He's a pretty big boy here, this Ezreal.
No slouches to Kai'Sa, we should say, though.
As a QSS especially is going to be very important Whereas no QSS for the stolen impale from Chovy on the side of Ruler.
Gotta love silence, right?
You always have to keep it in mind. There are some other, big CCs on the side of Griffin anyway. I mean, you got a Nico that can land a bind. You've got Sejuani, of course.
Potentially come in here. Doran doesn't know about Scar until now.
He's just going to try to avoid it and go for the Pop Blossom, see if he can survive. But the Flash Impale is going to be good. Tarzan now trying to get on top of CuVee. Knows he doesn't have his pull. And man, he hits like a truck. He actually does so much damage onto that Vladimir, who doesn't have that much armor. And that's going to be an extra kill as Skarner gets caught in the transition. GenG on the rest of the map not able to do much.
May you cast your eyes to Olaf's items. He's got a lot of attack damage, the Black Cleaver complete, and that's why he's doing the damage. And you talked about that truck. Turns out there was a couple of runaway trucks backing them up as well as Kai'Sa swooped in.
Rich doesn't have Dominus. He's going to have to flash away, but there's Impale on the Silas. The straight-up 1v1 as Rich takes the brush and gets shut down.
In style there, the Skarner ultimate available and guarantees the kill. Outskilled in the 1v1 is Rich. Important moment for Chovy, because now it means that Griffin are winning in multiple lanes and getting the sort of map control that led to Baron and their Game 1 victory.
You got to be feeling so good if you're Griffin right now. Everything running on all cylinders. Except Doran, who has been having a little bit of trouble, but they've been here to help him out with that a bunch of times.
It's a nice little juke from Doran when he realizes the scenario, and they get the first kill, but first Tarzan understands cooldowns and knows there's 8 seconds left on the pool. They get the first. He's hitting so damn hard, and Lehends opens up the killer instinct by swooping over the wall.
You can see what happens here. You can see Rich is trying to take a trade early. He's down a level with Dominus. He messes up the dash.
No, and that's why you wait out the Dominus from there. Chovy gets the fruit. This is some League of Legends technology turned on to the Hots player.
He's like, wait, what's that plant? I've never seen that before. What?
Wow.
How does he have full health already?
All you can say is outplayed.
Yeah. And Rich, I mean, he was even trying to take the trade early on and just... Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, Viper, you got to be careful. He's going to be the one to look silly this time as he's got to flash away. Even up a level. That's what Ezreal can do. You always have to respect that.
And GenG, with that chunk out, get a bit of positioning that may not have been possible a moment ago. Lehends lying in wait on the support Sejuani.
All right, looking for Ruler here. Going to force that Devour, but in goes the Impale. He's got QSS. Rich trying to front line, and now there's nothing to stop it as Rich doesn't have any of that QSS. And now we're diving again. In goes the Kai'Sa into the back line. It is a massacre up against GenG under this turret. Tarzan easily able to trade out that aggro on the turret, and that is going to be 4 more kills. Deja vu strikes in game 3.
A quadra kill for Viper on that one. Chose the perfect timing to make it happen as CuVee was cooped up in the 1v1 against the 4-lane build of the on-hit Nico. And that's probably the straw that broke the camel's back. Griffin's going to get a bit of everything as the second time under a turret they exit with 4 kills.
You gotta imagine that's going to be the GT moment. You know, the highlight moment when Griffin fully take over this game. They were ahead, they were in control, but that is where this one should end. As we'll take another look at how it all starts. Ruler just a little bit too frisky.
He was hit by the hook, and Life did everything perfectly to try to disengage here. QSS, try to live, but from here, you're under turret. You'll be safe, right? No, says Griffin. So many tanky members to take the aggro. Lehends, if you notice, takes a lot of the early aggro before the first juke of it away. Viper chooses the perfect time to get into the backline. A quadra kill for the Kai'Sa. 8-1 and 2. Doesn't need any introduction. That is a hella fed. Kai'Sa with plenty of magic resist to boot.
She's got the perfect comp around her. I mean, that support Sejuani actually looking pretty decent, especially when you see that you're going up against a Tomcat. You're feeling even better.
Support Sejuani in a vacuum is no OP pick, just to be clear. But when you get such a win out of the flex, it can be great. Just like when we saw Wonder with the flex into the top lane. You can do a lot of things with Sejuani. If it gets you enough leads and you capitalize on it, you're right. It can definitely come through. So into the Tom to allow the Olaf. It was a really nice draft trick from Griffin. So I think they were famous for in previous splits.
Hope they can keep up with that kind of genius that they have brought into the LCK. As if they take this win, I mean, it's a big step. We always talk about how we've only got 6 more match days after today. Saturday, Sunday this week, and then 1 more week of 4. And there's not that many games left over for all of these teams. Probably just 3 more matchups for almost everybody. Griffin's got 4 in total, including this one.
They have King Zone, but they end next week with 2 pretty straightforward games where they'll probably show nothing. Hanwha Life and Jin Air. Likely to be our 2 relegation teams. So they just need to play League of Legends this week, and then potentially you can hide quite a lot of stuff unless Hanwha Life comes in like they did against Dumb One Gaming. Theoretically, they play 2 series next week. They should win both. They don't have to show much, and then they'll be in great seeding position. They'll be 10-5 after the win here, joining many other teams at that stat line.
As we have the Baron here, they got it 2.5 minutes ago, but they're kind of just mulling around, not really finding a way in.
Where we going?
Okay.
Well, they tried.
Good effort.
Now you lost bot lane tower. I feel like we saw this in our first series by FLICKR.
I know. It's like deja vu happening in multiple ways tonight. Griffin now, you can see GenG just so desperate. Peanut, he wants 1 pick, please, he says, give it to me. Griffin just gonna put him down like a bully on the schoolyard, gonna put that Skarner into the pavement and say, well, we're gonna take both your inhibitors and probably take this game. We're not done pushing as they look to rotate up top lane.
Feels like GenG took too many rotations on their office chair, and now they're dizzy. Valdez are getting caught out in multiple areas, and they're gonna lose all 3 inhibitors. The game timer will extend past 30 minutes, but the lifetime of GenG in this series is fast closing. Gonna go back, some sweet items gonna be complete, and then it's the win push for Griffin. Here's the replay. This is after top lane play. Peanut rolls up.
Any analysis on this one?
Scorpion died real fast.
Yeah. They pressed their buttons, and he died. And, yeah, I mean, I don't blame Peanut. You know, he's trying to do the best he can, but it's been nothing but pain and suffering for him from minute 1 of this game. If you're a jungler and you die, you know, it's not even like, oh, I got my buff stolen. He died. And then he had to meekly go top by himself, no leash, try to do blue. It takes forever. You're so far behind.
By the way, your Skarner into awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everything.
And it's one of those things where that was really one of the major reasons that GenG had almost no early game and honestly lost the game. And yet, I don't know how to assign blame because Peanut face first went into his red buff with a really good chance that Griffin was still there and died. So someone made a call there that that was the right way to go. If he wanted to make the defensive choice, he runs straight to his blue and tries to take enemy red. But that wasn't the call. So something went horribly wrong in the level 1 that really led to a lot of this.
And at the end of the day, wouldn't it have been better to just send Life in or something like that instead of the Skarner?
Yes.
He had his flash available, right? You can face check, he's got a ward.
A, don't go there. B, if you do, someone with flash has to be the one to check it. So it was, unfortunately, a disaster of a level 1. From there.
Landed. Max range.
Renekton not being able to put any pain onto Sylas also strikes me as not ideal, but there were other problems, and his jungler was obviously, unfortunately, far behind.
Yeah, you're playing like 2v1, your jungler's never going to be there. You can't do Renekton things, you can't get gank assists, you just sit there and Chovy's like, okay, I guess we're just going to play a very passive lane and I'll scale better and things will be fine.
How about another Baron, just to be jerks and make the game go longer? They don't need it, but it could be nice. 2 Mountain Drakes and a uber-fed Kai'Sa. Means this one's going to die real fast. Let's count it, 31-19.
5, 6,
8 seconds? 7 seconds.
A cool 7 seconds. Take that one. Get a couple of golf claps from the audience as we're on the GenG side.
Are you good at doing the cup tans clap that sounds really loud?
Not really. Not the best, as we're going 1v1.
Randuin's baby. He dies slower.
Okay. Well, now maybe he can, you know, live for an extra 0.25 seconds in the next fight. And with the Baron and with all the inhibitors down, we're just trying to push in all the lanes at the same time. Going in with the Impale, they're actually able to stun down Chovy. But Zonya's is a pretty good item, and well, the Vladimir doing his best. He's actually going to live here for one moment. Let's see if CuVee and the rest of the guys can actually stop this one. Viper's still pretty alive in this one. He's going to try to chop him down, but CuVee trying to put on the defense. They're going to get 2, and can they actually do it? It was pretty close, but in the end, it's not enough. There's way too many minions.
My goodness!
And that's the minion horde that came in. The undead army from the ground is going to pick up that win in game number 3. Griffin is going to take the 2-1 victory, an epically important matchup going the way of Griffin this time around.
That was so many minions. They were totally pounding the end of the game to close it out there. Chad minions close it out for Griffin. That does mean Griffin pick up a really important victory, Valdez, in super indifferent form. Is Griffin in recent memory 2-1 win over Sandbox, lost to SKT, 2-0 win over KT, lost to Damwon, lost to FLICKR, lost to GenG. GenG with the ones after Rift Rivals to start the fall for Griffin, so it's probably important for them, as they've often lost to this opposition, to pick up a match victory. They move to 10-5, and crucially, that means that GenG slips to 10-6. So with a match more played, they will be behind Team Griffin.
It's not the best spot to be in. We talked about, you know, what is the minimum you need when it's this competitive between 7 teams vying for 5 spots. We were thinking 10-8 is at least, the very, very least, and maybe you don't even get in. I think 11-7 is kind of that money number. I think you need 11 wins and 7 losses maximum.
Oh, if GenG lose 2 more, their game score is going to be in the toilet, and I don't think it'll be enough just to have 10 match wins, because right now we already have 5 teams at 10 match wins with more to play. So because of that, I think GenG need at least 1 more. And I think Griffin are in a really good spot to get a high finish too. Remember, 2nd place, you skip the best of 3 wildcard match between 5 and 4, and you skip the first best of 5. For a season where Griffin has been so much more indifferent compared to that dominating LCK Summer last year and dominating Spring, almost feels like a bonus, a lucky thing that so many teams have been tripping up around them. Because if Damwon had continued their form, if other teams like Kingzone had continued their form, there's no way that Griffin could have ascended to 2nd.
Absolutely, but got to give credit where it's due. Coming in here up against GenG, a tough opponent. Griffin take the win. Shout out to Rich on his LCK debut today for GenG rather. Had a couple of games in the mid lane. He wasn't the most impressive mid laner we've ever seen, but still need to give him time. As we mentioned before, it's been, what, 6-7 months since he's been trying to go full time here in League of Legends. The guy, we'll have to see how he can do in the future if he gets another chance.
It's an unbelievable story to make that jump from another MOBA and being the top of that MOBA into League of Legends, but much more sobering is the reality where he wasn't able to be outstanding. Now, he wasn't a sideshow either, because if you wheel him in and he gets slammed, then it obviously looks a little bit like you're kind of trying to make a publicity statement.
Yeah.
You could say that he was competitive, but he wasn't impressive. Maybe that's not fair on him. Right? Maybe he deserves the time. We don't know what the future holds for him, but the story is undeniably super heartwarming and super cool to see that transition being made, but we'll only know if it's a success in the future. You know what wasn't a success? This level 1 from GenG, because they could have done so many things. Could have been a deep ward earlier from CuVee, who doesn't ward here. Could have gone straight to the blue buff and said, maybe I'll get Raptors with the ward I have down. Instead, kind of slowly walked into their doom on the red buff.
Don't face check when you don't have vision. Don't go forward if you don't have flash. Let the support do it. There were many options, and they did not take them, so the mistake was made. And we had this 4-man dive on a turret, and then we had later on another 4-man dive on a turret in the mid lane. It was just Griffin kinda, they were like the tax man coming in, trying to collect their dues.
Tarzan tried to make the game competitive. He really didn't need to make this play. They got 4 kills on the bot lane, but that one happened. This was the play where Griffin just able to roam down. Look how far away Kai'Sa is when the play starts, but able to make the time to rotate down. Sejuani opening up the killer instinct over the wall after we saw an impressive display of Olaf damage.
Axes are hitting for mega damage at that point.
Olaf win rate way up. It's like 23% now.
Yeah, 23.7. He's going up, he's climbing up. We gotta buy the Olaf stock now.
Bye.
As, yeah, this is a follow-up.
Quad kill, baby. Nicely played by Viper. He chooses the perfect timing here. Even gets out of turret range. Wouldn't have taken the leash anyway, but out of turret range on the play. Turrets aren't going to save you. Whatever you've heard, quadra kill. So Griffin, when the Kissing team comes here, usually very mooted. Griffin.
블라디. 천천히.
Slowly.
라인. 타워.
Nice.
Doran definitely hasn't changed the complexity of the calls at all.
블라디 높여.
No flash.
다 죽었어. 이제 불사람.
Ezreal.
이겼는데.
We won.
Lehends was pumped.
Yeah.
He hit the highest octave there. Something along those lines. He was excited.
You're a natural.
Thank you. I do voices. As, at the end of the day, damage number differences here. As a team amount is super considerable. Never found footing in game number 3 or game number 1 did GenG, compared to game number 2, which was a lot more comfortable for them.
Yeah. And an Olaf actually did something. Had some help from his team. Got ahead early. Stole Raptors twice. Sure, maybe even 3 times. By that point, we were kind of already writing off the jungle matchup as Tarzan had a fun time, and he was in good position multiple times. That the smarts of Tarzan, we're beginning to see that more often nowadays, I feel, as a trend. So,
and I think it was
good news for Griffin.
It was a team counter-jungling thing as well. So while Tarzan wins the MVP, there were so many times his laner was first to put down that spotting ward, saying, oh, he's going to go for your Raptor camp. I'm going to go and check on that to make sure Skarner never gets that. That's why there was such a big jungle difference this game between the two. We already talked about how the identity of these two junglers couldn't be any more different, Skarner versus Olaf, when it comes to what they could do. But in the LCK, how often does the Olaf make a mistake defensively fast, and then the Skarner farms to level 6 and gets the burst gank off? It happens all the time in Korea with how we play the game here. Not the case when played to its maximum, not the case in the LPL. And so LPL Olaf was exactly what Griffin needed to close out the series 2-1.
It's good to see them being proactive as well. It's not exactly the most common thing out of this one team. The greatly reluctant fighters were finally able to be less reluctant. So I was happy about that. And speaking of getting there, we're going to get to this interview at the end of this long day. I'm going to hand it over to T-Sun to translate.
Thank you very much, guys. This is today's English translation, and we'll be hearing from Chovy, Tarzan, from Griffin. You guys got your revenge. How do you feel right now? Well, all of the remaining series are so important. We really have to win everything. So today, I guess we were one step forward, so it feels really nice. So Tarzan, what kind of communication did you guys have before match today? Well, we are quite back in form, so we were very confident, to be honest. So we thought that we were gonna win. So Griffin tried new stuff today. Jace Renekton. You actually played those for the first time in LCK. The reason that I picked Chase and Renekton, we didn't really think of playing it before the games, but we thought that Kali, Talia, Baduz are all banned out, and also all the other options in mid lane were banned out, so I had to play those two champions. But, well, you completely outscaled in lane. So we have this highlight, let's take a look. The damage from the Fed Jace was amazing. Weren't you surprised? Well, I didn't realize at that moment, but well, taking a look at that replay, I'm a little bit amazed. And the damage graph. Well, you just did 21k damage all by yourself. Well, no one actually gave me any compliment or praise. I was just feeling so proud by myself. Chovy, your performance was really on point today. Well, however, game number 2 was not that easy. Well, that was a very winnable match, but we weren't really fully staying alert and we weren't really good at snowballing, so that's why we lost that game. But you guys managed to come back in game number 3. And Olaf's jungle was a little bit unexpected. Well, Olaf, well, its win rate in LCK is very low. However, that's one of my confident picks, so I feel really comfortable at the same time when I'm playing Olaf. So, as you mentioned, Olaf is on a 7-21 record, but you have the 4 victories on Olaf. So what's the difference between you and other Olaf players? Well, today, I mean, Olaf has a winning matchup up against Garner, so today had the right situation for me to kind of play Olaf. And Griffin, the signature play was shown in the bot lane, the clean turret dive. This is the replay. So whose call was that? Because we all just like going for it. We saw the Tom Kench Devour was down, so I told them to, I'll just impale any player with my stolen ultimate. So Renekton was a little bit separated, so Lehends kind of went in really well, so we were able to make a lot of kills there. That was one of the most perfect turret dives in LCK. And Chovy, they were playing up against Rich today, and we have this background story that he really likes you. He messaged you a lot on a LOL client, so how was facing up against him today? Well, it has been a long time since he kind of started his career as a league player, but he wasn't really liking a lot of performances, so I was a little bit surprised that he was this good already. So, well, the player front is not over yet, so any resolutions? Every remaining matchup is so important, so we have to win everything in order for us to comfortably prepare for the playoffs. So we're just gonna do our best to win everything. So Tarzan, any message for your fans? We did lose quite a lot, but now we're back in our form. So I think, well, it might be too early, but we are almost there. So I will just do my best to kind of show stronger performance. Congratulations on taking down your natural enemy, GenG, and this will be the end of the interview with Chovy, Tarzan from Griffin, and I'm going to pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, T-Sun, for that wonderful translation as always. Tons of fans always sticking around to hear the end of the interviews and get the beautiful insights from our pro players as always. So props to Griffin. That's a very important match they were able to take. They move up to 4th place after that one. Of course, they still have to play 3 more games, but feel like it's all about the amount of losses you take and how many you can avoid, and which matchups as well you have left over.
Kingzone, Jin Air, Hanwha Life is about as soft a schedule of any of the teams up the top when it comes to remaining games given the Kingzone.
And that's for Griffin?
That's for Griffin, right? So
yeah.
You're thinking 2 guaranteed, maybe 3 wins there. I think Griffin is kind of inside track to second. They should be there. From there, we were actually comparing remaining schedule for Damwon and Sandbox. Interestingly, right now they're exactly the same game score. They both face SKT. And how they perform against SKT and in their remaining series, even winning a game in both of them might be important there, which is pretty hype. But tomorrow, though, we will be seeing SK Telecom T1. They will be against Hanwha Live, coming in heavily favored to win. And the second one,
banger,
the
Max
battle,
8D,
the battle of the teams that G2 may or may not have gone 3-3 in scrims against. KT Rolster versus Jin Air.
And it's on a day that Ellis is supposed to be casting, but Papa is going to take it
I'm
over.
going to cast it like a world final, baby, and you're going to be there too, Valdez.
2 of the best teams in the world. I mean, if they can beat T2, anything's possible. Thanks for watching once again, guys, tonight. We love you. Good night.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning. Together we'll be winning. With you on my side, make my sorrow sing. 'Cause with you I'm feeling feather-light. Light like a feather, white like the wind. I fly together to where we ever been. You taught me loving without all the bling. You're all I need. I'm feeling feather-light.